Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Guten Abend, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to the Friday LFC Focus Podcast on what has been another momentous week for the Reds. We will get into what has happened if you have been living under a rock. No, that's what Manchester United fans are doing right now. Yeah, definitely. But we are joined by a fabulous panel. Making his first appearance, I think, on the channel, and first time I've spoken to him since probably the grounded football days we had on the first 11. It's Dan Klobbe. How are you, Dan?
Yeah, can't complain, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, heady days to be a Liverpool fan. Not so much if you're one of our rivals, I think. So yeah, can't complain.
Yeah, absolutely. We've also got one of my regulars. He is the Welshman who is absolutely roiling up the Leicester fans right now. It is Mr. Connor Niblett from the Kop Council. How are you, Connor?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. Just a couple of idiots on Twitter, which I find absolutely hilarious. But of course, I don't want to say the word, but all the wobbleheads are, aren't they? But yeah, great week for Liverpool, and long may it continue as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've also got another man on tonight who's a very talented musician, and his video is edging ever closer to 50k views. My goodness me, Mr. Daniel Hughes. How are you, my friend?
I'm absolutely fine, mate. I'm in my sort of studio, come loft, and my little lad being a prankster has moved the loft ladder away. But I said, son, I'm absolutely fine up here. I've got my guitars, I've got my kettle, and I've got an adequate Wi-Fi connection. I'm quite happy up here, son. So he's not too happy. I've foiled his plan, but other than that, mate, I'm absolutely fine. I'm in my element.
It's absolutely great to have you. And of course, we haven't had him on for a wee while, but he is back from the very sunny Paris. It is Mr. Owen Thomas from the Kop On Podcast. How are you, my friend?
Very well, thank you, Doug. It's absolutely wonderful to be here. Such joy amongst the Liverpool family, and I don't know, I'm just sharing in it all, reveling in it all. You know, had beautiful dreams of, flowers and rainbows and sunrises yesterday, and I think that's got something to do with Jurgen Klopp, the man of our dreams. Thanks for having me back on.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. Let us say hello to a few of you. Sebastian is in hello, and then he says Sebastian Klopp 2026, Gary Richards, Connor, Chris Welsh. Hi all. On my way back home after being at the Metro Centre in Newcastle. Ironic enough, we play them tomorrow for my birthday with my parents. Yes, happy birthday, Chris Welsh. Everyone in the chat say happy birthday to Chris.
How old do we reckon Chris is?
I know how old he is. He's 23.
Oh, I thought I was going to say, I was just going to have a guess at 27. I knew he'd be in his 20s.
Yeah. And Rennie is in. Hello, Rennie.
Enjoy it, Chris. It doesn't last forever, mate. The years soon catch on you.
That is true. And then Chris Welsh is saying, I was expecting Naby Keita's shirt from Connor for my birthday. So disappointed, just messing. Niall is watching the snooker. Keep us updated as well. Anson, hello, Anthony. Hope you're good. And then Owen is the David Attenborough of football. That's a compliment, by the way, says Chris Welsh.
Thanks, Chris.
And so Connor, stop beefing Leicester fans in my timeline. Anyway, but if you have missed the big news, well, where have you been? Yes. Jurgen Klopp has signed a new contract at Liverpool. We'll keep him up until 2026. Dan, what was your reaction to the news? Dan C, I should say, because obviously we've got two Dans. But Dan C, how were you feeling at this news?
Oh, I mean, over the moon. It caught me by surprise, to be honest with you. We alluded off air. I don't think anyone really expected it. Like, it wasn't one of them things that was... I mean, the Salah contract's been the one sort of front and centre, hasn't it, of everyone's thoughts? Because obviously we knew we were keeping Klopp until 2024. So for that to come out of the blue yesterday morning from Paul Joyce was just... I was just buzzing. It was just great news. And the speed in which it sort of came to life as well was brilliant, because I was on a podcast when I first seen the Paul Joyce thing, and I thought, oh, yeah, that's good. And I expected sort of over the next few days, over the next week, by 5 o'clock, the fella singing, I'm so glad to be a Red, and he's praising his wife for making him stay. It was just whirlwind day, and what a day. The noise that came out of me when it was officially announced at 5 o'clock yesterday, I've never made before. And only this football club and that man can make me make that noise, and I'm made up.
Yeah, it was just absolutely amazing. And yes, I was like you. Like it was the first thing I saw when I actually woke up was the Paul Joyce news, and then obviously David Ornstein got on it, and then I think Chris Bascom got on it, and then obviously David Maddock got on it.
Yeah.
Everybody got on it, but Connor, I think we've had a bit of thinking that we've all kind of known that maybe Jurgen was going to maybe sign on. There's been little moments where he's been basically saying it's not impossible, or it's not if, it's not a when, it's just if he feels like it. So how are you feeling knowing he signed a new contract?
I'm buzzing, mate. I think as everyone's reaction yesterday, I think all of us were, stunned when we first saw it from Paul Joyce. As Dan said, I think there's so many emotions that go around in your head where, I think pretty much for last season, I think the topic was spoken about quite a lot, and then it was who's going to replace Jurgen. Would it be Pep Lijnders? Will it be Stevie G? Then you had that whole debate between the fan base, who would replace Jurgen Klopp. And even then, Jurgen was like, who's saying I am going in 24? I could potentially stay for 4 more years, and that's fortunately what's happened, and we do have to thank Mrs. Klopp for that. And of course, the great news about it as well, according to David Ornstein and a few others, is the fact that it's potential as well that he will stay even longer than until 2026, even if he still feels like it. So, it's amazing the fact that he could stay for, maybe as long as, a Wenger or Ferguson at, Arsenal and United. Of course, I think all of us want him to stay until he's, about 2050 or something like that. But I just buzzing with the news, mate. And it was just brilliant seeing the rest of the league react to it as well. I think everyone thought that, Klopp's off, Guardiola's off, gives the rest of the league to, bounce back. But now, Liverpool are here to stay. And like I said at the beginning of the show, long may it continue as well.
Yeah, 100%. And Dan H, I think the thing is as well, all of his backroom staff are staying with him. I think this is very, very vital in that aspect as well.
Brilliant, mate. Talking about his backroom staff, as you know, I live right by the training ground, and I was lucky enough to see John Achterberg on one of his morning runs this morning. So I honked me horn and gave him the thumbs up, and he waved back. So that was a nice little thing. But yeah, great to have a staff and all that. It tends to be the way, doesn't it? The staff stay with the manager. But it was great, wasn't it, yesterday? As Dan Cecils had mentioned, I mean, you messaged me, didn't you, on WhatsApp yesterday about it, and I'd already seen the news. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's great that he's going to sign the contract, but no one was expecting it to be yesterday, was they? I just thought it was just going to be. But the other thing was, it wasn't just Klopp and the staff staying. There was little bits of news, wasn't there? I think coming from Paul Joyce saying, like, the club are looking to push on now and get new contracts for these sorts of players and this, that, and the other. And that was all good. Then you start sort of putting 2 and 2 together of other things with, like, the Salah deal. Was this all linked to, in wanting reassurances that Klopp was going to stay? And then you think about, like, when Rami, as agent, put them 7 laughs, was he really sort of now laughing, saying, actually, it's not about Salah, it was about you all the time? You don't know. You're just sort of reading things into it, but it's all bits of news now. And it looks like, as I say, Salah's going to get done, Mane's going to get done, a few of them. It was all good news, brilliant, and it just came from nowhere and done.
Yeah, and absolutely. And Owen, we can say Dankeschön to Ulla, Jurgen Klopp's wife, who actually said Manchester United were not the club for Klopp. And then he moves to Liverpool. Probably the best thing FSG have ever done for the club.
Yeah, I mean, great kudos is due to both Ulla and FSG. Someone I was just listening to LFC Day Trippers before we were on, and someone asked the question, what would you have preferred? Jurgen Klopp signing a contract extension or us winning the quadruple? And instinct is to say go with the quadruple, maybe. But then the more you think about it, the more you think, well, to have another 2 years, worth of a shot at more quadruples is kind of unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, so much. I mean, there's just so much love for the guy, around the world. We all love Klopp. We all love Ulla as well, and kudos to FSG, really, for acting so quickly and for getting it done, and making another wise choice to keep the man ahead, because it's just brilliant. It's just absolutely brilliant. I've got a long list of all the players he's signed in front of me, and the amount of just generally where the club was to where it is now. Who has survived from his first squads? Bobby Firmino, Henderson, Joe Gomez, Joel Matip. Is anyone else still at the club?
James Milner.
Sure. James Milner, of course. Yeah. I might be missing one or two others.
Owen, did you say Divock? Did you say Divock?
Oh, of course I didn't. No. There you go. Of course. How could I forget Divock? Shame on me. But no, it's just like, he's really changed so much. He's changed everything, and it's just beautiful. And just the one thing, that we really need to bear in mind is the list from lfchistory.net, as you can check it, of managers with the highest win percentage in history. He's better than all of them, apart from John McKenna, who was our joint manager with William Edward Barclay as our first ever managers. So, John McKenna he was only in charge for 36 matches, and he had a 69.4% win rate. And that's just you can discount it, not only because it was the 19th century, but because it was only 36 matches. Whereas Klopp, according to LFC history, he's been in charge now of 373 matches and 62.47%, compared to Bob Paisley's 57.57%. Bill Shankly's 52%. Kenny Dalglish is the only one who's he's second on the list, really, and he had 58%. So Klopp on 62.47% when you consider the team he inherited, where we were and where we are now, and of course the debacle of last season with all those injuries.
Yeah,
the man is truly a genius. He's truly a genius.
Yeah, and obviously more news came out today, Dan, or yesterday, Dan, see that Klopp wants Mane, Salah, Keita, Firmino, and Milner deals sorted.
Yeah, that was another sort of caveat to it, wasn't it? It wasn't just the brilliant news of obviously keeping Klopp, which I think is the best signing we will make in 2022, quite frankly, regardless of what happens. Luis Diaz has been sensational, but keeping Klopp for 2 more years is next level stuff, really. But yeah, in terms of obviously what went around the deal, keeping his coaching staff, like you've already alluded to, is a big positive. But if it means we tie down those players you've mentioned there, even better. There was always question marks. I felt like we might have lost at least one of the front three. It seems like now we probably won't. I think the Salah situation, I think there's half him coming back with his tail between his legs. I think he might have angled for a move away, potentially his agent particularly, maybe not Salah so much. But now Klopp stays is a no-brainer for me. And not only sort of the renewal side of things, but what else came out of yesterday was talking about potential transfers. And if Klopp is sort of nailing his colours to the mast, and he's come out and said today as well, he wants to leave the club in a position of power forever. That only means one thing to me. It means this summer there's money to spend, there's assurances made, there's promises, and we are going for big targets. They'll be young, but they'll be the people that he wants most.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, 2 of those players that were mentioned, or 3 players were mentioned, Connor, you'll be smiling like a Cheshire Cat when I say this one. Aurelian Tchouameni, Jude Bellingham, and Calvin Ramsey as well. We do like to get youth. Bit of youth and experience is what you want in a good squad, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the big thing from probably last summer, where was the fact of, the second rebuild of Liverpool. And already we've seen the likes of Ibu being bought, and Calvin and like the players you've just said already. Calvin Ramsey, I think, is pretty much nailed on. I think for the summer. It looks like yeah. I think Neco Williams is definitely off to Fulham in the summer, and then the bigger question is then, as I like that from Ant, is, do you go after Tchouaméni or do you go after Jude Bellingham? I think Jude Bellingham is impossible this summer. I think way too much money Dortmund will be asking for just because of Erling Haaland and potentially going to Manchester City. And then the only worry with that then is if you have someone, if Chelsea finally sort out their problems with, ownership and that they go after him, does someone else go after Jude Bellingham? But I think, as we've seen with the likes of Alisson Becker and Virgil van Dijk, if it's the correct person that Jurgen Klopp wants, it doesn't matter what the price tag is, as long as Jurgen Klopp and the whole backroom team agrees that that player is the perfect person. Now, I know we spoke yesterday about Tchouaméni, and one of the big points, and I know Owen probably has stats on it, is counter pressing with Tchouaméni. It seems to be amazing, and of course will massively help the squad. I think, what is he, 18 as well? Both Jude Bellingham and I think Tchouaméni around that age, so he had plenty of years on both of them. So it's building up to that next phase of Liverpool, away from, of course, the Thiagos, Hendos and Fabinhos. It's the next phase of Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah.
Just to come in there, sorry. Just to come in there, the stats. I don't have a lot of stats about Tchouaméni, but last season he was second in Europe for tackles. For in the big five leagues, he won. He was second on the list of most tackles won, and this season I believe he's third at the moment. So just in terms of winning the ball, he's absolutely monstrous. So just have that to add. And also, sorry, it's not Tchouaméni because he doesn't touch many. It's Tchouaméni because he chews them up and spits them out.
Oh, there we go. My pronunciation is not the best anyway. But no, Tchouaméni. Yeah, Tchouaméni. But Dan, I think the one thing you can say is as well, look at the squad we are actually building in and amongst like the first team. Kelleher, Tsimikas, Gomez, Konate, Elliott, Jones. I think you probably could put Gay Gordon in there, Owen Beck, Connor Bradley. Tchouaméni, if he comes in, Bellingham, if he comes in, Calvin Ramsey, if he comes in, we're really building for the future under Jurgen's management.
Carvalho, mate, as well from Fulham.
Carvalho, yeah. I can't believe I forgot him.
By all accounts, a done deal. Yeah, mate, it's exciting times, isn't it? It really is. I mean, it wasn't very long ago at all. Probably only at the start of this season, really. The gremlins, as I call them, on Liverpool Twitter, we're making out we were this, decrepit age and old age pension squad that was about to, fall in under itself, and Klopp was going to leave, and FSG were going to leave us in the mire, and they needed to. And now you're looking at it, and it's like we've got this like green shoots coming through of the next young squad. Klopp staying, and yeah, it's really exciting, mate. As I say, there's so many good young players. Konate, what a beast he is! I can't believe he's only 22. He's just an absolute quality. I don't think I've ever seen a player so strong when he actually does like shoulder badge someone or anything. It looks like GBH because he just sends them skittling, doesn't he? He's absolutely he's a monster, and what a player he is already. Yeah, brilliant.
Kanai is going to be an absolute beast. And I'm not going to read your comment out because basically it is Divock has the second biggest in the league behind Kags, is what you've actually said. Hello, Rennie. I'm good, thank you. Hope you are well. Congrats if you go to the... Yeah, we will get to that. His name is Loads of Chewies. Yes, that is very, very funny. Apparently, Mitchell's just subbed to Kop On because he says, I do enjoy Owen's calming tone. There you go.
Well, I'm glad I was send you to sleep. You can
get urgent.
You should get a job for Audible, narrating books, Owen.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, it'd be a cushy job, wouldn't it? Be a cushy number, reading some books and getting paid for it. I mean,
we have a new owner now. Oh, do you? As the Todd Bowley guy,
Todd Bowley, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Well, he wasn't Gary twice, but Leicester want him, so he's world class. Unless he goes to Villa, then he's Aurelien Tchouaméni will bring a different option to Liverpool. Yeah, he certainly will. He certainly will. Well, we will go on because our Egyptian king was named Football Writers Player of the Year. And Pep's had his say again.
It's wonderful, that.
Klopp living rent-free
before we get on
inside.
to it, am I right in thinking that Man City players have had Player of the Year award the last 2 years?
Yes,
I
I
think
believe
Ruben
so.
Diaz
I'm sure it was
and De
Diaz
Bruyne.
last year and KDB the year we won the league. So
Yeah.
what is wrong with the man?
Yeah,
Where's
Dan C. Pep has come out and said, "Well, congratulations to Liverpool. Like we've got the second best goalkeeper. They've got the second best left back, second best midfield, best forward line in the world." That was just awfully awful interview that he had.
Yeah, he said it without a hint of irony or sarcasm. I thought it was very nicely done. It was almost as if I watched the press conference. He kind of got probed on it a couple of times before he finally let his mask slip, in my opinion. He gave sort of quite normal managerial answers to begin with. And then I think the third time someone sort of probed him on the same question, he went. And that was when he gave out the whole spiel about, well, Jurgen Klopp always says that XYZ is the best, so I'm not surprised. It's understandable. And I have issues with Guardiola in lots of ways. I think he's a world-class manager, second best manager in the world, actually, behind a certain German. But yeah, he often does this sort of thing, doesn't he, Guardiola? He's got a bit of a history now of this. And it doesn't sit well. I don't know whether I'm just Liverpool biased and I don't really like him. But then I don't know if you guys have seen that. I think it's two Irish fellas do an Aston Villa podcast, and they tear into Guardiola quite a lot for very similar sort of things he said. Mo Salah is hands down. That's not even a conversation. Like, statistics you don't need to see statistics to see that he's been the best player in the Premier League this season. It's done. It's a done deal. Like, nobody can argue otherwise. So for Guardiola to not be gracious and just say, oh yeah, obviously it's Mohamed Salah, to have a slight dig at the remaining Liverpool squad is really quite bizarre.
Yeah, and Connor, I said this to you in a party chat earlier, that Kevin De Bruyne, for as much as he has been good in recent seasons, he's been in and out. He was injured for the start of the season, but the stats say for itself. Mo Salah, 30 goals, 14 assists, 44 goal involvements in 44 games this season. There's no question that Mohamed Salah is the Football Writers Player of the Year.
Yeah. No doubt whatsoever. Plain and simple, Mo Salah's been the best player from minute one of the season. For me, I know Pep was having of course his daily rant at Liverpool, but of course for me, Kevin De Bruyne, he's not even been City's best player this season. I think he's been behind the likes of Cancelo and Riyad Mahrez this season. And that photo always scares me. But yeah, I think De Bruyne is. I think he is behind the likes of Cancelo and Mahrez this season, in my opinion. But again, he is a phenomenal player. But Mo Salah has been on a different level. Mo Salah's currently being talked along with the likes of Karim Benzema and Robert Lewandowski for the Ballon d'Or. Sadio Mane as well in that stake. But he's been miles ahead of everyone in the Premier League. And plain and simple, what was it? 48% of the vote, and De Bruyne had 17, something like that. It's it's plain as day. The rest of the league can see it. Everyone can see it. Mohamed Salah is the best player in the Premier League, and probably the world as well at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. Dan H, what did you make of Pep's wee outburst?
Yeah, he as we sort of spoken about, he occasionally does sort of let that mask slip, doesn't he? And he kind of gets a bit snappy. I'd love to think it's because he's feeling the pressure somewhat, but unfortunately his team don't seem to be in the mood for dropping points. But I'd hope it's something to do with that. He was saying the other week, wasn't he? I remember thinking about it when he said it was never 14 points. It was you guys saying that. It was only 6 with 2, games in hand and all that sort of stuff. And he was getting a bit snappy then, and he was getting a bit snappy today about Player of the Year. But when I thought about it, I thought, hang on, Diaz got it last year, and I was 99% sure KDB got it the year we won the league, and that was right. But it's a bit weird and a bit odd. But he's, as I say, we are in the business end of the season. Hopefully, it's just a sign that he's starting to feel the heat a little bit under his collar.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Owen, whoever's created that picture is an absolute genius. I mean, I had to share for this evening because it was so funny.
Yeah, I put it on Twitter. I'm actually trying to find the owner. I mean, thanks for sending it to me, Doug, as well. I'll give you a shout out on Twitter for handing it my way. But that's a very funny picture. I don't know. How these people do it, these deep fakes of inside Pep's head. It was really good. Pep, I mean, there's a simple test, right, that everyone should use for famous people, right? Would you invite them to your barbecue? And there's no way I would invite Pep to my barbecue. Can you imagine? He'd be there sitting in the corner, actually, then he'd stand up and he'd be like, he'd be trying to, take control of the burger flipping. He wouldn't let you flip the burgers in peace.
He'd stand over you. He'd watch you.
Exactly. And he'd be, he'd open the beer and he'd like sniff the top of the beer top to make sure it wasn't contaminated. And, he'd be that kind of, I don't know. He would just be like,
the worst thing he'd do, and I think he'd be quite chilled. I think he'd be quite neutral until someone got a camera out, and then he'd jump up and start showing you how to do the barbecue. And then once the camera was on him, he loves a bit of that, doesn't he?
Yeah, when the tactical analysis
on him, he starts giving them instructions out.
I mean, it's madness. If you actually look at the transcript, if you can, of that documentary of any halftime Pep team talk that's ever been filmed, if you actually look at the words he's using, it is genuine nonsense. Like, I don't know. I mean, the ones in English, I've never heard him speak Spanish. I teach English as a foreign language. I know how difficult it is when I speak French, for example, to be very precise. But it's not a question of him not having the level of English. It's just genuine gobbledygook. But his players seem to understand him, and he is a brilliant manager. I'm not going to take that away from him. But yes, a petty little, I won't finish that sentence. But yes, a petty little man who is not invited to my non-existent garden.
Sebastian has said, one United fan on Twitter has tweeted, if Liverpool win the quad, they still have not won the treble.
Yeah. I did read that, but you never know on social media, do you? If people are doing it for banter and for likes and whatever else. There's that old saying. What's that old saying? It takes a clever man to play the fool, and you never know whether he actually genuinely means that or he's just put it for the banter.
And Noni need to be signed next year. I think that's maybe in DD, but I could be wrong. If Klopp came out like Pep did, we would all be defending him. Let's not be hypocrites. Well, I think you'd have to say that Pep is losing his marbles. Let's just say Pep is feeling the heat. Pep should have put the worst Madrid team to bed. Yes, we will come on to the Champions League. Southampton midfielder was to sign JWP. Yeah, James Ward-Prowse is definitely a wanted man this summer. Pep's petulant child doesn't make sense because of his stubbornness. Yeah, that was very true.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, mate. Hi, Mitchell, my friend. I love Klopp, but let's not active. He didn't have awful moments last year when he didn't look partially nice. Well, he did lose his mum, to be fair. He did lose his mum, and I know that Pep's lost his mum as well. So definitely. I've got to head, lads. When you're smiling, Fox. Well, thank you very much, Anthony. Hope you're good. Noni to Leicester would be class. I don't know who this Noni is, so someone elaborate.
There's a chat going on in the chat. I don't know.
I've never heard of him as well. But we did have the Merseyside derby, and we had to be patient, but in the end, we did manage to get the win against Frank Lampard's. I don't know how you described them. Relegation threatened. Parking the bus. I mean, Jesus. I mean, there's loads to discuss from this game. Absolutely loads to discuss. But Dan C, that win was so important for me because it was just the way that they frustrated us in the first half, and we managed to get the job done in the second half.
Yeah, we did. It was everything we hate playing against, wasn't it? It was one of them games you just have to find a way. And as good as Liverpool side is, and it is, it's a phenomenal, it's certainly the best in my lifetime that I've ever seen. But we still have our kryptonite, and our kryptonite will always be well-organised, low-block sides. Now, I don't know if they were well-organised. That might be a slight favour to them, to be honest with you. But they certainly had a lot of men behind the ball, and it made life difficult. So, yeah, we were patient. We dominated. And, yeah, we got over the line. Then we found a way. That's all it's about this time of the season. Performances will come. And we have been brilliant over the last few weeks. I thought we were outstanding in midweek, for instance, against Villarreal. But at the minute, we just need to keep finding ways, because you said it there, it was important. And every single game is important right now. We've got 7-8 cup finals left, depending on what happens, obviously, in the other semi. And quite frankly, I love a good performance. I love watching Liverpool swashbuckling and free-flowing and scoring goals and ripping teams apart. But right now, you can give me 8 of the scruffiest 1-0s you've ever seen, and I'll bite your hand off. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. There were a couple of decisions. Let me just say this. Connor, first of all, Anthony Gordon going past Naby Keita and then taking a dive. That was a clear yellow card. And it was actually nice to see Naby Keita do the Daniel Sturridge dance.
Yeah, no, it was, wasn't it? And I've seen all week Anthony Gordon still crying on Instagram about him not getting that penalty at Anfield. But at the end of the day, if you're going to dive, a tremendous amount of times this season, you're not going to paint yourself in great colours, are you? And I think that, look, for me, I know plenty of people have had their thoughts and their opinions. For me, it wasn't a penalty. I think it could easily have been given. Yes, don't get me wrong, but I think the fact that when you're running and the fact that Gordon's gone across Matip, I say if Matip had gone across Gordon, I would say yes, it's a penalty, 100%. But the fact that Gordon's gone, in front of Matip, and again, just the fact that the diving earlier on, it doesn't help him in any sense of the matter. And to be fair, he was Everton's best player by a country mile. Yeah. And if he goes to another club, if they ever go down, like, he's going to be good for maybe someone like a Leicester or someone like that next season. But again, he just doesn't paint a good picture for himself. And you're not going to get decisions your way if you're going to constantly do the things that he's doing at the minute. Yeah,
definitely. Dan H. I mean, Everton are complaining to the PGMOL because of that decision for Anthony Gordon not getting a penalty. But you'd have to argue they were pretty lucky that they didn't last with about 8 or 9 men on the pitch.
Yeah, 100%, mate. As I say, when they love a complaint, don't they, at the moment, and an apology off the PGMOL. But yeah, as you say, mate, when they're writing that letter in, they save Liverpool the stamp and mention about Richarlison's little petulant kick out on Henderson at the end. And there's a couple of other little incidents. For the record, I think the first one was an embarrassing dive, and I don't know whether he got booked for it, but Gordon dived in the Goodison derby as well. And and I don't know. I'm presuming he did.
He did dive, but Andy Robertson got booked for the foul. But everyone widely accepted it was a dive.
Yeah, so that was a dive, and then I thought the second one in the game on Sunday, I actually thought Liverpool got away with one there, but unfortunately, as we found out with our own Mo Salah, who's, let's say, prone to the odd dive or a bit of exaggeration, unfortunately, once you get that reputation, it starts going against you because you start missing out on some of the ones that you should be getting. But Everton weren't no shrinking violets. They certainly got stuck in, and yet they could have had a couple of sendings off, but they never, and we got the win, and happy days, brilliant.
Yeah, and Owen, we have to say, King, Lord, Divock, Origi, absolutely loves the goal against the Ev, and he comes on and he scores a header past short arms. Everton are going to be so glad to see the back of him. I'm going to miss Divock. I must admit. I know he has had his moments there and there, but how many important goals can you just think of? How many important goals that Divock has scored for us? It must be in the regions about 8 or 9 goals.
Well, he scored 6 against Everton, all at Anfield, and Robbie Fowler scored 6 against Everton too. So he's up there with Fowler for that. I think only one player scored more. I think maybe only Ian Rush scored more. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure. But 6 in 10 games against
Ian Rush is the record derby scorer, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, of course he got 4 in one game, but no, Divock. I mean, I want to cry when I think about him because there's just all these kind of emotions attached to the guy. I think he's absolutely wonderful, a wonderful man, a great player, underrated finisher. Of course, sometimes his touch hasn't been great here and there were parts of his game that aren't as good, but Divock, when he scored, what did you do? I took off my headphones. I was watching at home. I live in a studio flat with my girlfriend. She was over on the side. She was like reading a book, ignoring the football as usual. And I was trying not to actually go mental. I was trying to rein it in. I had to take my headphones off, and I was just sort of shaking with joy because Divock, he's just given us so much freaking joy at key moments, and it was such a key moment when he came on, and within 2 minutes he played a massive part physically in the first goal. That beautiful sort of interplay with Salah, and then Salah's cross. My God, not enough people are talking about that cross for Robbo at the back post.
Yeah,
but then Divock to actually score the second, to put it to bed, the arms out celebration, the smile, that he's a genius. I love the guy so much, and we can think about the sadness of him leaving, but just I'm welling up just thinking how much I love the guy.
I'll be honest with you. When Andy Robertson scored, I went absolutely mental. Maybe it's because he's obviously like the Scottish captain, and it was just a bit of relief when he scored, because I think he's been kind of due a goal recently, Andy Robertson, like all those bombing runs that he seems to be doing. For me, I think he was definitely due a goal. Everton fans now into the PGMOL after they thought Klopp was leaving in 2024, not 2026. That's funny.
Yeah, very good.
That's funny. Hello, Maisie. Hope you're good. Maisie, get well soon, my friend. I know that you are suffering from the dreaded demonetized virus, so get well soon. Maisie, Lampard is a mug. Yes, Lampard definitely is a mug. Lampard's a region toy.
He is that as well.
He certainly is. I hope Chelsea beat Everton. I'm going to be honest with you.
I think the Toffs are going to beat them. I think Chelsea
they are as well.
I think Chelsea are on autopilot or whatever you want to call it at the moment.
Yeah. Last comment. Gordon to the city to annoy the Ev. That'd be funny. I'm not complaining about the way Everton played. Got to try to frustrate your opponents who are way better than you. Somehow do all you can to win. It's just our fans complaining about us. Yeah, absolutely. Indeed. Gordon would die for his lunch. That's funny. That is funny. It's Rodgers versus Conte. Yeah, definitely. You nailed it, Douglas. There was great relief to open the scoring in each of the last 2 games, given each first half finished 0-0 after a grinding opening 45 minutes. Massive celebration for those opening goals. Yeah, definitely. Dan C, was Mane lucky to be on the pitch, do you think?
I have a real problem with suggesting that he should have been sent off for that. There's just not enough in either incident, in my opinion. Like, if that's the way we're going to go, and I mean, I know that's the way football has gone over the past few years, but for me, that's a great shame. Like, if either player, I think it's Allen and Mason Holgate, if either of them make sort of a massive deal out of that and go to ground and end up getting Mane sent off, that's the sort of thing that we always sort of lament to this day. Like, how many clips now do we still show of like the slightest raised hand and someone hits the floor? Mm-hmm. I get it's part of the game, and it's like it wouldn't have been a surprise had we have seen it, but it's silly for Mane. Let's put it that way. It is silly. He shouldn't get involved. There's no need to get involved. You know what I mean? We need him on the pitch. And Mane has got a bit of that in him, hasn't he? There was an incident earlier on in the season when he raised elbow with Cesar Azpilicueta against Chelsea. Just not the sort of thing we need. I mean, I remember a couple of times as well we had to take Mane off. I think he got took off in the Atletico Madrid game because he'd been booked at home.
Yeah.
He kind of walks that tightrope, I think is what I'm trying to say. He's a world-class player, and I wouldn't want to take that edge out of his game, but he does need to be careful because the last thing we need is him being sent off. But coming back to the original point, for me, there's not enough in either incident for that to be a red card.
Yeah, Connor, I would actually argue Corey was very lucky. I've seen red cards given for like swipes down. He completely swipes down Fabinho.
Yeah, I think, as Dan said, there's so many. It's inconsistency, isn't it, in football? 1 week that could literally be a game between Spurs and Chelsea, and that could be given a red card. It's the fact that the inconsistency in the Premier League in terms of refereeing is huge. Should it have been a red card? I don't know. I did go down on him a bit, but I think to be fair, I think the majority of the refereeing was actually done okay. I think on the Merseyside derby, I think I agree with them on the Mane part. He has that side on him, but I just think football sometimes it goes a bit too, a bit that way to just get the player off for stupid reasons. I think that football needs to go back a little bit. I agree with certain things and that, but I think when you send you look at the Europa League game, I think last round with West Ham with Chilwell. I know that's not the Premier League, but him getting red carded for that. I think that again, we've spoken about referees on this channel plenty of times, and I think referees do need to be sorted out. Then I should say. Yeah,
and Dan H. Richarlison is an annoying little bugger, isn't he? He lived up to his name, the big cock, because he actually acted like a big cock.
What's that? The big cock? I don't know that. I thought he was called the pigeon or something.
It's when he does his chicken dance.
He was called the rooster.
The rooster, yeah.
Which is a synonym of a cock, but of course.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a bad player. He's not an awful player. Certainly one of Everton's best players. But yeah, the amount of times he goes down, it's a bit ludicrous, isn't it? A bit embarrassing, really, for him. And he needs to spend a bit more time upright. And he might score a few more goals because he certainly hasn't scored many, has he, this season? But
more yellow cards than goals.
It's the truth, isn't he? He hasn't scored many goals. I don't think he scored more than 10 league goals, has he, this season? So he needs to stay on his feet and score a few more goals. He'd certainly be a bit more. He'd certainly be a threat if he did. The incident where he stayed down for ages was like ludicrous, and in the end, as I say, the Corey had to do that foul, didn't he? Just to get the ball sort of out of play, to get the ball dead, so he could come back on. But it was embarrassing.
Yeah, I am going to ask you all one by one in this question. Are they ever going down? Owen, do you think they ever are gone?
Do you know what? Before the latest derby, I was hoping they wouldn't go down because they generally give us 6 points a season. They've tried their best, and they give us so many comedy moments. But after the derby, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to swear, but F them. Because, I'm tired of their bitter, depressed, monotonous nonsense, the way that their fans, try and cling to. So what is it someone said on Twitter the other day? At least Everton have built 3 stadiums in their history compared to Liverpool, who have only had 1. And they're clutching at straws, and the context, their actual players at the moment. I mean, Gordon is way overrated by everybody. I mean, Richard Keys, his hair, the hair on the back of his hands and the palms of his hands stands on end when he thinks about Anthony Gordon. But he's no good. He's no good. He's all like pantomime, drama. But he's not. There's no end product there. Richarlison 7 goals down. I just looked it up, which makes him in the 20th percentile, as in 80% of all forwards in Europe are better than him. Yeah, he's got more yellows than goals. Yeah, exactly. 4 assists as well. And he's their hope. And it's just I just can't be bothered with them, you know? Like, I've had enough of the Ev. They can go down to the Championship. People talk about Sunderland. People talk about, maybe they'll do a Leeds. I think maybe they'll do a Nottingham Forest and just, slip into Championship obscurity forevermore.
Interesting. Dan C, are the Ev gone?
Forest. Sorry, just to say, Forest went down to League One, didn't they, for a season?
And they did. Well, there you go.
So Everton could well do a Nottingham Forest. Sorry to say. Do you know what I've said for weeks? No, obviously living in Liverpool, I've got a lot of friends of both colour, if you like. I've said for weeks they'll be okay, and I thought they'd be particularly okay when Burnley sacked Sean Dyche, because I did not expect Burnley to improve without Dyche. Didn't see that coming. I thought them getting rid of Dyche was a really poor decision, and I thought that was them writing the season off, quite frankly. But they've bounced. They've had that new interim caretaker, get your centre-half to manage the side, old-fashioned bounce, haven't they? So, I think they're in big trouble. I think they're in huge trouble. And it feels like we say this every week at the top of the table and the bottom, but this weekend's massive, because it's Burnley, Watford, Chelsea, Everton. Yeah. Like, Burnley, that's a very winnable game on paper. And if they do, I'm 99% certain they play before Everton. They'd be 5 points clear with Everton playing Chelsea.
Yep.
That's a catastrophe. I think they're in major, major trouble. And for me, the balance just tipped in the past few days. I think Everton could go, yeah.
Connor?
I agree with Dan and Owen. Before the Merseyside derby, I was like, sure, you can stay up if you want to. Be that little annoying brother that we've all known them to be over the last couple of years. Well, I say years, forever. But since the derby, I will celebrate them going down, because it's the fact that it's just everything that happened on the derby, like the whole game. Frank Lampard's, Richarlison. We haven't mentioned, of course, Jordan Pickford and Alisson Becker beautifully mocking him, which was absolutely brilliant.
That for me is the moment of the season so far. That.
I think I celebrated that more than the goals, which was brilliant. But it's the fact that I think the whole club need to be, just. And I said to you, Doug, I think Everton, if they were to go down, will go down to League One, whether that be the next season or season after, and then it's all about that rebuilding phase then for the Ev, because I think within itself they're rotten to the core at the minute, and they will need a proper, sorting out, whether that takes, 5 years, 10 years, who knows? But I want Everton down.
Dan H?
I'd love them to go down, mate, but I just don't think they're going to. I was listening to one of the football phone-ins last weekend, and there was an Everton fan on, and he said, forget Burnley, we're chasing Leeds. And I was like, Leeds are miles out of it. They're in great form. They've got 4 or 5 points ahead of us. And then I looked at the fixtures and I thought, Leeds are in big trouble. And I think Leeds are going to go. They're not going to get a point out the next 3 games, Leeds. And then that leaves them, that obviously gives Everton then some leeway to catch up some points. I think they've got Man City tomorrow, going to get thrashed. They've got Arsenal away, going to get thrashed. They've got Chelsea at home. Chelsea are sleepwalking a wee bit, but it's still a tough game for Leeds. So I don't foresee them getting many points, if any, out the next 3, and that'll give Everton a chance to catch up. And I think Leeds are going to go. I'm not a betting man, but the fairly long odds to go down. I think they're about 4-1, but I think Leeds are going to go.
Interesting. Agreed. Good evening, Jeannie, by the way. Thank you for tuning in. Agreed. Glad we aren't playing Burnley, because I might think about giving up the league. Yeah, definitely. But another game where we had to be very, very patient was against Villarreal at Anfield. We managed to win by 2-0. Now, I'm not going to mention what Jason Cundy said after the game, because quite clearly what he was saying was absolutely ludicrous. Basically, what I'm going to say is, if Villarreal have made the semi-finals of the Champions League, and if they are a disgrace, why have they beaten Manchester United, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Juventus, Atalanta, and Young Boys in the last 18 months? So, what I thought he was saying was ludicrous. But Dan C, I have never seen a goalkeeper flap as much as Rulli?
No, the aptly named Geronimo Rulli, because he was on a mad mission every time he came out, and he was wild. I've never seen anything like it. You're right in what you say about Villarreal. Just to say, by the way, what that TalkSport presenter said was quite frankly ludicrous, and it was disrespectful as well. And I've seen Pedro Chivella responded to it as well, one of our former midfielders, and just saying, what a load of rubbish, quite frankly. But yeah, Villarreal were. It was the Everton game was a bit of a dress rehearsal, wasn't it? Because Villarreal were quite similar, perhaps better equipped to do it, and a better football inside all round. But that's how they got past Juventus. That's how they got past Bayern Munich. So leave them to it. It just so happens that we might be a level above them two sides I've just mentioned. But yeah, as for the goalkeeper, just nuts. I didn't realise until Luis Diaz had a shot early on. I think it was his shot that made me first think, we need to keep testing this fella, because it was a decent strike, but it was pretty regulation to deal with. And he just palms it like basically onto the penalty spot. And I think, you're not very good. And I think he's good at it with his feet, isn't he? He's like the opposite of what you want your goalie to be. He's exceptional sort of ball player, but anything he has to do with his hands, he seems to panic. So, I'm glad we kept testing him because, he was, what's the word? I don't use catastrophic because that goes down the Jason Cundy line. Troubling if he was our goalkeeper, let's put it that way.
He was like a volleyball player, I think is the safest term. Safest term I would say would be that. But Connor, I mean, obviously, the first goal comes from like a Hendo cross that is definitely a cross. It's definitely a cross. It does go off Estupiñán, I think is his name. Anyway, but the position of the goalkeeper, where is he going?
It's first of all, I'm glad you pronounced the left back name because I wouldn't be able to do it at all. But it is, isn't it? It's the fact that it's where's Wally with the keeper, and you look at it, and to be fair, as you and Dan have said, and as the other lads will say as well, it was a dress rehearsal. The Everton game to the Villarreal game, of course. Better opposition, but that's how they've done it. And as you said, the TalkSport. The slander after it was, shocking. And as well, Liverpool's Champions League run, I think, has been a little bit, not tarnished by rival fans, but, going, Liverpool's got an easy, route. We've played either the champions of a league or league leaders of a league, and again, it's the Champions League semi-final. You're currently playing the Europa League winners. Unai Emery has been superb in European competitions for what seems to be forever. So he knows how to win European trophies. I think he's won 4, isn't he? Between Villarreal and Sevilla. So I think it's that thing where Liverpool, it was going to be, we needed that, those moments. Of course, the Hendo goal was fortunate. I would have loved it to have been a Hendo goal in the Champions League. Because I think he has about, is it 4 Champions League goals in his Liverpool career, or is it 2? It's either 2 or 4 in my head. But it's something where you just need those moments to get us over the line. And, and we'll talk about, of course, about the Mane goal as well, and the Salah pass as well, which was beautiful. But it's those moments you need to take to, that wins you, ties and gets you into Champions League finals. And again, it was the total professional performance by Liverpool. And it was brilliant.
And I am going to actually bring up what Mr. Cundy said. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say, but Dan H, I mean, what does he expect, right? Does he expect Villarreal to completely open themselves up at Anfield and get absolutely battered? Or does he expect Villarreal to basically do what they did, defend very, very deep, and maybe scrape a 0-0 or a 1-1?
Listen, come on, we're all... This is how I see it anyway, and you might disagree. We're all involved in social media at some form of level, and Signer obviously, and it's the same on the radio. He's trying to boost his engagements, and you boost your engagement by saying something outlandish and ridiculous, because you're going to get the tweets. And look at us, we're sat here on a Friday night and we're talking about it. That's what it's all about. TalkSport, talk, SHITE, a lot of people call it, don't they? Because basically you say something outlandish, something ridiculous, it gets people talking, it gets it in the news. Jason Cundy was an ex-pro. He knows the score. He knows Villarreal couldn't come and open up, and he would have got the backsides handed to them. So yeah, I look at it like that. I'm a bit prosaic about it. Don't worry about it too much. I don't get involved when the talk sports presenters say something crazy, because I know what the game is. You know what I mean? Adrian Durham's the master at it. Cundy's good. Andy Goldstein. That's what it's all about. That's why they're on the radio, because they say crazy things and you get the texts and the tweets and people talking, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Thierry Henry described Mo Salah's pass as out of this world, Owen, for Mane's goal. I mean, it was a very special goal, wasn't it?
I did plenty of drugs in my youth, Doug, and my memories, not once what it was, not that it was ever any good, but I remember one incredible pass he played in the first half that was a header over. But remind me again, man. Oh yeah, the little nutmeg pass.
Little nutmeg through. I think it was Pau Torres. Pau Torres' legs.
Neurons are still firing. Excellent. Okay, so I mean, Mo Salah's creativity has gone under the radar. 13 assists and 22 goals in the Premier League this season. So he's the best top assister in the country. And he's actually laid on a lot of other passes that for our strikers and midfielders that they've missed as well. I mean, he's so creative, Mo Salah. But, like the best sportsman in any sport, he makes everything look easy, which is why even though he wins the Football Writers Player of the Year, he's won it twice for that incredible season, but he should have won it maybe 2 or 3 times. I mean, Ruben Diaz won their Football Writers Player of the Year last season, and is Salah not better than Ruben Diaz? I mean, are you serious? No, his creative play is absolutely astonishing, and it was for Roma. That was one of the things I was really excited about watching when Mo Salah started for us, was his season before against Roma. When he was, setting up Edin Dzeko every week, and he just knows where players are. He's got a wonderful vision, great execution. He's played a number of top quality passes this season, and long may it continue. Love him.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the thing is, I mean, 2-0 is a very, very good scoreline, Dan C. Villarreal didn't really have that many opportunities as well. And I think Genie said that the Roulé save from VVD was weird. It was. I mean, he just completely flaps at it. Anyway, but enough about the volleyball type player, which I like to call him. Going away to Villarreal, all we need to do basically is score early and then try and just defend the lead, don't we?
Yeah, we do. It'd be interesting to see how Villarreal go about it, because obviously their sort of modus operandi, as we've already said, is to be patient and to sit deep and to maybe keep the game tight. But at 2-0, they can't really afford to do that for too long. They might have half an hour whereby they just try and stay in the game, but at some point they're going to have to do something. And that's where it falls down for them, in my opinion. I actually felt going into the tie that we'd simply be too strong for them. And with all due respect to what they've done previously, their race could already be run. If you've seen their celebrations after beating Bayern Munich, you kind of thought that was potentially your final. You know what I mean? Because I think Bayern Munich have been quite critical of them, similar to Jason Cundy, actually, in the build-up to the game. And getting over them was a really big deal for them, and rightfully so. But for me, I just don't see how they approach this second leg. Everything Unai Emery will want to do is the opposite of what he can do. If it was 0-0, for instance, he'd keep it tight for 70 minutes and then go for 20.
Yeah.
He's got to go early here, and that just suits us down to the ground. So there's not really much I think they can do to hurt us. I think we've seen that the other night. Every time they did attack, there wasn't a great deal to it. So, yeah, I just don't see how they get themselves back into this game, quite frankly.
No, I mean, I was saying to a lot of people actually at work that Connor, I can't see Villarreal scoring more than one goal.
Well, I know. I was just giving them praise. To be honest with you, I can't see them scoring any against this Liverpool team.
Can I just as well say how fantastic were their fans the other night? I thought them joining in with "You'll Never Walk Alone" was just amazing.
Top draw fans, them, to be fair.
Yeah, no, they are absolutely, and look, we praised, we'll praise away fans all the time, and to be fair, throughout the whole day, of course, being in the city, afterwards as well. I think they were in Anfield for a good 40 minutes after the game as well, and just enjoying life, enjoying football, and it was brilliant. That's what you want from away fans. Of course, it won't be the joy, the joyness of that when we go to theirs. They'll try and do everything to get underneath the Liverpool skin, but that's what you expect. But no, I thought it was brilliant from them as well. But going back to what you said, mate, I can't see them scoring a goal. As Dan said, everything that Unai Emery would want to do, he can't do, because Liverpool will tear apart that Villarreal team. And especially in that Juventus game, the last half an hour, 35 minutes, they went full attack mode then, because they absorbed everything that Juve had. The problem is with that, Juve, their midfield hasn't been the best this season, and the defense hasn't been, anything that what Juventus has been over the last decade or so. And Liverpool at the minute are that, that step ahead, or that 2 steps ahead of everyone else. And yeah, as Dan said, and I agree, I think that this Liverpool team, if they were to come out attacking, would rip Villarreal to pieces, and it would, you could be 3-4 by the end of the night.
And obviously, Dan H, I know that obviously Villarreal are called the Yellow Submarine. I thought it was a really nice touch for putting a yellow scarf over the statue of Sir Paul McCartney.
I didn't see it, mate. I didn't see that at all. But yeah, the fans were fabulous, wasn't it? They really made it a great occasion, and I'm sure it's going to be another great occasion on Tuesday. So to go more into the game, I don't know how Villarreal will approach it. To me, I might be wrong. They seem like a bit of a one-trick pony, and they haven't really got anything else. They're going to have to try and potentially be a bit more expansive. I'm not really sure they will. I think they'll just try and keep it tight again and see if they can just, maybe nick one and make it, 2-1, and then see where it goes from there. But I think if they come out and attack, I think it could be an easy night's work for Liverpool. One thing I'm a bit worried about, I don't know what the score is. What's the situation with the Buchans?
They get wiped out before this.
Because I know Van Dijk got booked, didn't he? Verge got booked.
No, it doesn't matter. They all got wiped out before the semi-final.
So even if he gets booked on Wednesday or Tuesday, it doesn't matter.
As long as no one gets sent off, we're laughing.
Yeah. That was the only thing I was a bit worried about. But yeah, 2-0 was a great score. I know sometimes you say in football, it can be a dangerous score, but actually, if you look at the history of European football, it's actually very rare for a team to come back from more than 2 goals down after the first leg. We remember the Barcelona game because it was like a one-off game, once in a lifetime. Actually, I can't remember that many other times Liverpool have ever done it. I think they did it against a team called Auxerre in the very early 90s, to come back from a 2-goal deficit in the first leg. It's very rare. I think it's over 90% success rate. So never say never, but obviously I'm very confident if they come out as they may have to, it might be a good night for Liverpool.
Yeah, Chris Ross said that overrated fraud of a bridesmaid. Nagelsmann lucky to still be in the Bayern Munich job after the Villarreal performance. That's another thing I've been proven right about. Well, yeah, and usually when that happens, he has won his league in Germany. No surprise there. Anyway, but we do have a massive game tomorrow against Newcastle United. And no, I'm not trying to speak Geordie. Anyway, but Dan C, it's the 2 in-form sides meeting tomorrow.
It is, yeah. And it is. And fair play to Newcastle. Their form has been outstanding. And Eddie Howe's done a brilliant job there with a little bit of January money help. Let's have it right. But at the same time, I think I alluded to it before we came live. Their form is very good. They haven't played anyone near the calibre of this Liverpool side. And everyone's sort of alluding to their form going into this game and saying, it could be the game where Liverpool slip up. Has anyone seen our form recently? Like, that's not bad either. You know what I mean? So I don't particularly buy it. I think it'd be a difficult game. I don't expect us to walk over them whatsoever, but I do expect us to come through it. What I will say is there are advantages to playing an informed Newcastle side because they now are obviously not under threat of relegation, so they can take their foot slightly off the pedal in that sense, potentially. And not only that, because they are confident, because they are at home, you know, we just spoke about Villarreal potentially playing football and that suiting us. Newcastle could play a bit of football tomorrow. Like, how many times have we struggled against sides that sit back and don't give us space? If Newcastle think, you know what, in front of our home fans at St. James's, let's have a go at these and let's see what happens, because it doesn't matter. That suits us down to the ground. If any side wants to play football against us, I think happy days. And that's how I see tomorrow going.
I mean, Owen, Newcastle on the 20th of December were bottom of the Premier League on 7 points when Steve Bruce was sacked. They are now 9th with 43 points. So what do you think's changed?
Well, I mean, the January signings helped. I'm a big fan of Dan Burn. I think he's an underrated player in general. He's very, very solid centre back. And you know, if you notice how Brighton's form has dropped a lot since he left as well. I think he's a very underrated player, Dan Burn. But I've got some great stats in front of me for example, for Newcastle before Eddie Howe, they averaged XG against of 2.06 per match, and now their XG against is only 1. Shots faced used to be 15.9 per match, and now is only 10.4. So they've tightened up a lot in defence, and there are other stats I go into, but I'm not going to go into them. But their midfield, interestingly, not once has Eddie Howe gone with he's got Bruno Guimares in midfield, but he's the only real midfielder that he likes to pick. Sometimes he picks Shelby, but I think Shelby's injured, but he generally likes to go with Joe Linton and Joe Willock. So it's very, very attacking, very open. I really like Bruno Guimares. I've seen him here in France play against PSG a few times and really dominate with Lucas Paqueta against the brilliant PSG midfield. So I mean, he's a hell of a player. So he'll be good. But there should be space there. There should be space. Hopefully, they're in great form. Of course they are. They've won 10 of their last 14 matches or 16 matches. I can't remember. I mean, their XG has gone up from 1.04 to 1.40. Yeah. So they're averaging scoring 1.40 per match. They're averaging conceding only 1, but they haven't played us. I think depends who we pick. But if we go with it like a full strength team, if we're going with Thiago and Fabinho, for example, in midfield, then I can see us dominating there. I don't know, but I'm confident.
Yeah, Dancy had to go, but big thank you for Dancy for coming on, and great to get him on as well. Yeah, I mean, Connor, Newcastle have really improved, and one of those most improved players, we have to admit, is Joe Linton.
Yeah, no, I remember last week I did something, like a Soccer Saturday with the guys over the 1882 Red podcast, and last week I got to cover Newcastle's game against Norwich. And for me, the first 20 minutes, he was useless. Didn't see him at all in the game because, he seems to be one of those. I know we talk about, James Milner being very good in terms of, 1 minute he's right back,
That's
1 minute he's centre back.
By the way. That's a fact.
Yeah, this season anyway. Yeah, that's true. But I think like Joe Linton, the versatility on him, last week he was playing striker, and then Eddie Howe changes and then from a striker to a left wing, and he scores 2 goals, within the space of 10 minutes. But I think already this week, I think some Newcastle fans have said that, he'll most likely play centre mid against Liverpool, which is, it is mad in terms of positions because you don't know realistically where his best position is. And it's so weird for a player as well. But I think I know I said, I think it might have been on Jack Show or your show, Doug, about Eddie Howe and what a job he's done. And I know that, he's had plenty of, recruitment and numbers and, in terms of money and that. But, as we said, one win at the start of January, and he's got them into the top half of the Premier League, which is, fantastic for Newcastle fans because they deserve it from what happened, over the years with Mike Ashley and so on. But I think Liverpool are going to, dominate this Newcastle team. I know they're us and them are the most informed at the minute, but if you look at, us against Eddie Howe, the average of goals, I think Jurgen Klopp side has scored, more than 4 goals, or the average is 4 goals against the Eddie Howe side. So I think it's going to be interesting, and I think it will be tough, but I think Liverpool should get the job done on Saturday.
I think so. I think so as well, and it would definitely put pressure on Manchester City, Dan, because if you look at the way that they've been playing recently, I mean, they should have killed off Real Madrid the other night, and look, they did very well to win 4-3, but there'll be a slight little bit of scariness going into City, I think, knowing that if Liverpool win, obviously they go 2 points clear again. The game against Leeds at Elland Road is not an easy game for City.
They'll beat Leeds. I'll be honest. I'm worried sick about tomorrow and next Saturday night. I didn't know it was next Saturday night. It was next Sunday, but apparently it's next Saturday at 7:45 against Tottenham. I think these 2 games with the Champions League game sandwiched in between, where we could potentially sort of lose any chance of winning the title. I think they're both tough games. I know Jurgen Klopp isn't happy about kicking off at 12:30 tomorrow, but I actually think it helps us a wee bit, because I know from going to the 12:30 games at Anfield, it doesn't lend itself to a great atmosphere. And obviously with 55,000 Newcastle fans there, it'll be the same for them. It takes away a little bit of the edge, and it might just allow us to sort of sneak in and get a result. But I think coming off the back of the Champions League, Newcastle in great form. I think they've been 6 on the run at home for the first time since the Bobby Robson era. They're flying. It's going to be a tough game tomorrow, and they've had a week's preparation, all that sort of stuff. It's going to be tough. And then again, I know we'll go on to Tottenham next week, but then we play Champions League again. Then we play Tottenham, who again, very dangerous team. But I was saying to someone on Twitter today, if we can come through these sort of this next week of fixtures, no worse off than we are at the moment, i.e. 1 point behind. I mean, if we could be even better, brilliant. But if we can come off no worse than 1 point behind, I think we'll have a bit of a chance then going into the last 3, because then City play Wolves away, which can be a tricky game, West Ham away, which will be a really hard game, and then they probably are 2 shots really, I think, of them dropping points. I don't think they'll drop points tomorrow. I think they'll be too strong for Leeds.
I think so. Guys, get your predictions down in the chat, and we'll obviously read them out as well. Chris has gone for his team, so we'll go with this team, and then just one of you jump in and say, do you agree or disagree? So he's gone Alisson, Arnold, Matip, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho, Keita, Thiago, Salah, Jota, Mane.
I'll be honest. I haven't got a clue for the teams at the minute, for the simple reason at the start of the season, I have an idea in my head, like, what would Liverpool's team be if we got to a Champions League final, or if we got to a final, and you'd have the idea what is our best team. The problem is, at the moment, every game is a final. If we drop, if any game that we lose in that competition now, that competition is over. Do you know what I mean? If we lose tomorrow, league's gone. If we lose on Tuesday night, Champions League gone. Lose an FA Cup, it's obviously gone. But every game's a cup final. So how do you rotate the team? And the problem is the likes of Thiago plays a lot of games, and I don't think he's the most durable, is he, fitness-wise, but he's so important. So can you play Thiago tomorrow? I don't know. But then, as I say, you can't afford to lose. So I haven't got a clue what the team's going to be, and I'm glad Jurgen's picking it and not me, really.
Yeah. I think, it's a really good point. But I think that we're a little bit obsessed in football compared to other sports about starting your best players always. This is something that's like an accepted wisdom in football, is that you should always start your best players. But for example, tomorrow, if you started for, Gomez instead of Trent, Hendo instead of Thiago on that team there, and not even Diaz, he's too good. Divock instead of Salah or Mane, for example, and you kept those three players on the bench as your break glass thing, because at the end of the day, I would fancy a midfield of Fabinho, Henderson, and Keita, especially with Henderson. He loves playing against Newcastle as a former Sunderland guy. But then if it doesn't work, you've got Thiago coming on, because the other way to play it with rotation is that you play Thiago for 60 minutes and you say, right, whatever happens in this game, you're coming off on 60. And then if it's 1-1 or we're losing on 60 and we're taking Thiago off, it might put, element of doubt in other players. So I just think that, I don't know. I don't always agree that it's always important to start your best players. So, I think you can hold them back and say, look, you'll definitely get the last 30 minutes. I don't know.
I'm all for a Divock start. Are you,
I
Connor?
wouldn't be surprised if Divock started at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. To be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if anyone started. I was just looking now at the reverse fixture. We had a midfield of Henderson, Thiago, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Ox seems to be a forgotten man at Liverpool at the moment. I think rightfully so. I think, at the minute he isn't, as far as, we know, he isn't in Jurgen Klopp's 4 or 5 choices for midfield at the minute.
Yeah.
I think he is firmly at the bottom of the list as well. But yeah, I think I wouldn't be too surprised either if Hendo played in the 6 instead of Fabinho, because I think Fabinho's played a tremendous amount of footy as well. But it's how do you rotate all of the players? And we've seen over the last couple of weeks, it's been, that 3 or 4 changes, in between the games. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw, potentially Divock, Jota, and Mo at start, but I don't know. I think whoever starts, you're going to be happy. I think all of us should be happy as well.
Yeah.
On the subject of Divock, I was just going to say then the parallels between this season and the 18-19 season are quite scary. Obviously, we were a point behind City that year. We were due to play Wolves on the last game of the season, and we obviously did. And again, and also we played Newcastle away, sandwiched between the 2 legs of the Champions League semi, and here we are against Newcastle away.
That was a mad game, if I seem to remember it as well.
Divock got the winner that day. Why not go with him again?
Yeah. And the lad from Aberdeen is Calvin Ramsey. He is only 18. He's got bags of potential ahead of him. He is up for the Young Player of the Year in Scotland as well. So
he's won it.
Has he won it?
Yeah, he won it today.
Oh, fantastic.
Does he have pace, Doug? Does he have pace?
Yeah.
Yes. Very good defensively. He can bomb down the right as well. He's a very, very good up-and-coming right back. So
is that unreal or what? Though? Is this like something that's got legs?
Yeah, we've been tracking him for a wee while actually.
Yeah. So
is he better than Connor Bradley? Sorry, Dan.
No, I was going to say that'll probably be the end of the guy Nico, won't it? Nico probably goes.
Neko, yeah. Don't know why, because sneaky feeling tomorrow when Newcastle, Liverpool, Leeds, Man City, we're both playing Champions League midweek. They are the games for me. Ali, Trent, Matip, Verge, Robo, Fab, Thiago, Keita, Diaz, Mane, Salah. So that is definitely Calvin Ramsey, something like that. Anyway, hi guys. Agree that Keita should play in the first half. Leeds draw 3-1 Liverpool. We can only hope and pray. Can't we? I have, yes, as people obviously know, I am a Livingston supporter, so I have actually seen a lot of Calvin Ramsey. And actually, I don't think he played against Livingston last 2 weeks ago, but he has been very, very good. He was up against Josh Doig. The other two, I think Regan Charles Cook from Ross County, and there was another guy from Celtic. Name ring goes away from me, but he is a very, very good up and coming. Just saw one story a few days back. Yeah, Shane O'Donnell's in, Alisson, Trent, Matip, Van Dijk, Simicast, Fab, Thiago, Keita, Diaz, Jota, Salah. Interesting. Ox probably won't play in a meaningful game for us again unless we have injuries. Absolutely agree. Hello, Elevator and Escalator fan. Sounds perfect. Alisson, Trent, Matip, VVD, Robbo, Fab, Hendo, Keita, Salamani, Jota. Hope Bobby is fit for the Spuds game, though. Yes, I hope Bobby is fit as well. Heard the Salah wants to keep Salah and Mane. Yep. Newcastle 1, Liverpool 2, Leeds 1, Manchester City 2. There we go. Leeds 2, Man City 2, Newcastle 1, Liverpool 2. How are our Broth doing? Still up for promotion. They lost to Kilmarnock, so Kilmarnock are up automatically, but our Broth are in the playoffs, so I think they've got to play Partick Thistle first, that home and away, that's 2 legs. Then they've got to play Inverness Kelly Thistle, and then whoever finishes 11th in the Scottish Premiership, then I would back Arbroath to go up. I think it'd be an absolutely fantastic story. I've never been to Arbroath, so it would be nice. I think Chamberlain has Newcastle in the summer written all over them, and Genie go for 4-0. So predictions. This is where it gets very interesting. I'm going to be honest. This is our hardest away game left. I'm going to be totally honest here. I am going to go for a 2-1 win, and I would not be surprised if they score because they have been in very good form. Anyway, Connor, what are you going to go for?
I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool. I think it'll be
3-1. I am a bit worried what I'm going to ask Mr. 1-1 here. What are you going for?
I've changed my ways now. I'm gonna go for a 1-0, mate. I think we're pretty strong, aren't we, defensively? I think it's going to be 1-0. I'm gonna go for the main man. I'm gonna go for Divock.
Hey, that would be fantastic. Owen, what are you going to go for?
I think we're going to get there. We're going to be a bit, groggy because it's it's breakfast. I think I'm going to go for another 3-2. I think we're going to concede 2 goals because I think they're pretty lethal going forward with Sam Maxima. He's a player I absolutely love. Not playing against us, but he's such a great player to watch. But yeah, I think we could end up being a bit lethargic, and they could exploit some of the spaces that inevitably appear in any match, no matter who you support. But I just think Newcastle are quite clinical. But yeah, I still think I back us, or whatever the team is. I mean, if Klopp goes full strength, as in, the new front 3 and Fabinho, Keita, and Thiago in midfield, and either Konate or Matip at the back, and Trent and Robbo, then I'm expecting much easier time. I would expect maybe 2 or 3-0, but I think he'll rotate, and I think it will be difficult. 3-2.
Yeah, so 3-2. Very interesting. We are all going for very close scorelines. Genie isn't 4-0.
Nice.
That would be very nice. Liverpool win the Prem by 1 point. Fingers crossed, my friend. Fingers crossed. I really hope they do it too. Yeah, I think definitely. Southampton and Villa will be tough. Villa, yes. Southampton are on the beach, and that's what worries me. Is we have fallen up there in the past at St Mary's as well, up the Stranraer. Whereas
aren't they? Villa, there's been a bit of narrative about Gerrard and Villa might give City a tough game on the last day, but unfortunately Steve Gerrard's 41 and won't be playing, so I don't think he'll influence it. They've got 1 point out the last 15, haven't they? Villa, they're not in great form.
They're not in great form. They're not.
Just about got a couple enough points just to keep them out of the relegation. So it's a fight really, and Southampton got flip-flops on, haven't they?
Yeah, Newcastle will Liverpool 2, says Shane. 2-0 wins, says Brian Morrissey. I know we should beat Southampton Villa. We want revenge after 7-2 last season. Southampton on the beach a little. Yeah, don't remind me of the 7-2. We get the early goal, we'll call the game. If Leeds get something from the game, we're going to need a Ted Lasso statue. Yeah, and don't forget, we've got the young lad from Celtic as well. No surprise, we're looking at the talent there. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, it has been another fantastic show yet again. My big thanks to my panel. Obviously, Dan C was on earlier, so great to get him on. Connor from the Kop Council, thank you very much for coming on, my friend. What have you got coming up?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on. Match preview for Newcastle at 9 o'clock over on my channel, and as well, we'll have a couple of shows over the next couple of days about certain players, Calvin Ramsey, of course, Tuchel Mane, and Jude Bellingham as well. But yeah, thanks for having us on.
My pleasure. Dan, thank you very much for coming on. Your video will probably be reaching 50k by the end of the weekend. Any plans for any more videos?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'll endeavour to do something this week and record something. If you've got any requests, do send them to me via Twitter if anyone's watching. But it'll probably be back to like 50 views instead of 50,000. But never mind. Well, I'll stick something up. But yeah, good.
Absolutely. And Owen, thank you very, very much for coming on as well. Anything coming up on Kop On this week?
Well, it's always a pleasure to be here, Doug. Thank you very much. And thanks to Connor and Dan and everyone in the chat. It's absolutely lovely. Kop On, we always try to do at least one episode a week. And tomorrow, it reminds me because I haven't actually organised it, but tomorrow I would like to do an episode after the Newcastle game. If you guys are free, if anyone's free in the chat, let me know. koponpodcast@gmail.com because I need some guests. So hopefully, yes, tomorrow there'll be a Newcastle review, and looking forward to Villarreal. It's just, I don't know. Don't you just feel like, it's almost too much, all of this, because the games are coming so thick and fast, and each one is freaking brilliant. Because, in that week, we beat United 4-0, we beat Everton 2-0, and we won a Champions League semi-final 2-0. I don't know. I'm sort of, in the clouds. This is way better than drugs, kids. Because, it's really it's just, I'm sort of sailing away. So if I forget to do an episode of Kop On, I'm sorry. I'm just, riding the Luis Diaz, fun waves. And I just sort of, forget about it. But no, yeah. Thanks for having me on. Anyway,
my pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And Jeannie says, big up Douglas Santana in the chat. You never walk alone. Newcastle 1, Liverpool 2. Newcastle strike first goal early in the second half. Thanks to Guimares. I get worried a little bit. And Salah will respond from the 70th minute and then Divock in the 85th minute. Wow. If that happens, then we'll be all very, very happy. Take care all. Thank Lord, my local team Carlisle season is over and we are now on the beach and now we are already safe. Yes, guys, I will be back literally in 30 minutes' time. I'm going to do a big Newcastle-Liverpool preview, and I'm going to be joined by the lovely Kendall Rowan as well. So that should be very, very good to watch. So, guys, please come and tune in at 9 o'clock. Should be fantastic. But until then, it is goodbye from the four of us. You'll never walk alone. You're going to sign a new contract, and Pep is losing his marbles. Good night.